Start and hello, family and friends. Welcome back to an episode of the Reimagine You Lab Podcast with your girl MG. Y'all know that we've got somebody great inside the studio today because we always do. And there's always some juicy nuggets that our guests can share. And today, not only is my guest special, but my guest is really, really special. So I will jump into that in 1 second. But I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to the podcast. Do you know that we are just at 14,000 subscribers? And that's just on YouTube. That's just on Instagram. But YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, and all across, we have the audience. Oh my God, I'm stumbling today. But the audience has grown to over 100,000 people. You guys, I can't even believe it. So thank you for tuning in. And if you have not subscribed, maybe this is the first time that you're listening in, please hit the bell down below so that you can get a new episode every Friday. And there's always somebody rich, somebody interesting, somebody spectacular that has made change. And we'll share with you their stories on how they do it. So as we are ready to jump in, y'all ready to get going? So today, my very special guest is Brielle. Guys, hello, Brielle.
Hello, MG.
Hey, and I told y'all that Brielle you got the last name, but this is actually my oldest daughter, and she is what I call a world traveler, a creative, one of those social media mavens. So let me just tell Brielle, like I tell all the guests when they come in, like, Brielle, we go beyond the bio. So this is your moment. Tell them who you are, what you do, where you're at, and how you do it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brielle. First and foremost, I am extremely honored to be on the ReImagineYOU Lab Podcast, sharing all the gems and wisdom that I absolutely can with your audience. So thank you, Mama, for having me on. My name is Brielle Gines. I graduated just this past May with my bachelor's of business administration. I currently freelance as a social media manager, and in the meantime, between time, I enjoy making a killer matcha latte, hanging out with friends, reading, writing, especially in the styles of elegese, prose style writing, and short stories / essays. And I'm currently located and based in Tampa, Florida.
Brielle, welcome to the podcast. Now you're here in Florida now, but I want to say welcome back because you just got back from a stint in Lincolnshire, England. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. So as a warm-up, what would you say, though, is the biggest mindset shift that you had while living in England? Biggest mindset shift?
That's a really good question. I think the biggest mindset shift that I had was be okay with being uncomfortable. Just because something is unfamiliar doesn't mean that it's unconquerable by any means. Being able to live in the English countryside in the way that I did, it was really, really nice because I was staying in this manor that was built in the 1700s that's been well kept up with. But it's new, it's foreign, and I'm in an entirely new setting with completely new people. But while I was there, I was constantly telling myself, just because it's unfamiliar does not mean that, one, you don't not belong here. You do. You're accepted. You got the position. And just because it's new, that means you're going to have to level up. So anytime that you're moving into a new season, everything kind of has to shift and change with it as well, too. You can't carry old thought patterns and behaviors into the newness or you'll spoil it. And so that was a lot of what has shifted in my mind while I was across the pond.
Across the pond. I love it. Now, Brielle, what made you start 22 Thoughts and kind of what's the story behind that name?
Yes. So 22 Thoughts started May of last year, May 2024. It was something that I wanted to kind of capstone and start for my life. I was graduating that year. I was exiting the education system. I don't have no plans at this current moment of continuing my education. So I was graduating. I wanted to start a blog. It was really a way for me to kind of redefine my 20s, my adulthood, my foundational gears. And so starting the blog 22 Thoughts, blog is where you can check it out. I kind of go through this transition where you see me in all four walls, all the good things, the travel, but also the introspective and reflective pieces of the blog as well too. It's a way for me to kind of open up and share things that I have learned with my audience of other 20 something year olds and also anybody of any age. There's something that we can all learn and take from one another. And so that's exactly what I plan and want to do with 22 Outside Blog. You get to join me on my travels, not only just to the different parts of the world, but also into the mind. Let's go into the soul and kind of get to the matter of things that way as well too. So that's what 22 Thoughts.blog is about.
I love that. I love that. Now, you know what, Brielle, you're such a creative person and a courageous and a daring person. But you know, and I'm excited to have you on the show today because I think, you know, those who are in your age group, I think those of us who are in my age group, you know, everybody has a perspective, you know, like that point of view, that POV, you know, and I think that it's so good to sometimes be able to see somebody else's just so that it opens up our landscape, the way that we work and communicate and deal with the world, deal with others, and, you know, all the pieces that go along with that. I know because when you were preparing to go to England, people are like, what? Brielle's going over there to stay for a while? I was like, yeah, she is. You know, like we want to encourage her to go and to not be afraid, to be willing and a little bit more daring, where other people are like, girl, what's she gonna do over there? You know, but you've always kind of had that cultural curiosity, right? So talk a little bit about, like, tell me what's one cultural experience in the UK that surprised you or challenged your thinking. You know, US and UK is different. It's two U's, but it's a K and an S, which makes a substantial difference. So anything that surprised you or challenged your thinking, maybe?
I'll say many things. I want to like on the, I guess like the funny, lighter side. Um, the food was like a bit different.
I've heard things about like the European food, like, you know, UK food is the good old English breakfast I would not want to have.
Like being is like, yeah, just like the food was a bit different. I want to say that like the challenge that got me, growing up, we didn't live like in a city per se that had like mass transit. And so navigating, like taking the tube and the underground and being able to kind of stretch yourself to be like, okay, I can like make it at this train, I can get off at this stop. It seems like very small, but like once like you're in, it's like, okay, where do I walk to next? What train station do I need to get to? How many stops am I writing this for? Like those are things that I think people don't necessarily realize is like a muscle that you have to exercise. But like once you have it, like it's done and it's down. And I think also living in a new country by myself, very kind of far away from family. So like that was like another challenge, which I was totally okay with because I kind of got like exposed to it a little bit because I went to school in Texas. So I was already kind of like outside of the house at that point. But being in a different continent in my early 20s, not having mom and dad, you know, right down the hallway was very different.
Literally.
I don't know. It just like it allowed me to kind of tap into and say like, okay, this is you. This is just you here. You're not lonely by any means, but you're having like to really kind of figure things out on your own in a different continent away. So that was a challenge, I'd have to say.
Yeah. Even like the time, right? Like whenever we would talk, you know, like it was 6 hours, you know, forward. So if it was 5 o'clock here in the evening, I'm getting off work. Well, it's 11 o'clock there. Brelle's probably asleep. Yeah. Or, you know, like it's, you know, it's midnight here and I can send an email or something. Brielle will get it when she's up in the morning, you know, and so it is a little different. You know, I was thinking, you know, being a content creator and a blogger, how has the time abroad shaped your voice in those capacities? You know, because I would imagine that there's been things that you were able to talk about or was when you think about that reflective part of yourself and going introspective and things like that, how has the time abroad shaped that? Or
It makes
or is it the same? Or do you feel like it's the same?
it makes me feel much brighter, especially because when I talk to friends and family members about it, they're like, "Oh, you went to go live in England. Like, how was that experience?" It makes me feel like I did it. You guys can do it as well too. You want to go work a month in Spain, or you want to go spend like some time in Portugal, or you just want to test getting over the waters by coming to spend a week in London, which me and a friend did before coming back home. Like it's a chain reaction that I am always happy to spark in conversation with others about traveling, dispelling fears about getting in a plane and taking like a nonstop flight that's like oh so many hours. Like you can do it. And so I feel like it makes me much brighter. I'm always happy to share about traveling because I understand just how important it is to immerse yourself in different cultures and customs because I don't know, your four walls aren't your only limit, but you can make it that way if you get into your head about things. But there's a great big world out here. So much of it is so untapped, I think, by people. And you can tap it into it at any time.
At any time. No, I
Anytime.
love that. I love that. And I love that about you even in particular because this isn't your first time abroad. This was just the longest time period of time that you stayed
Hmm.
abroad. Brielle, can talk a little bit about where did that bug and that cultural curiosity really stem or start for you?
I love telling this story. So in 2019, my ProStart teacher, which was a cooking elective in high school, she took a group of 25 to 30 students to a 2 week, 7 country trip to Germany, Switzerland, Italy, France, London, Austria. I'm forgetting one. But we got to go, and that was like the very first time that I ever got to taste traveling abroad, especially studying abroad. And it was so cool because we got to learn. It was an infinite emphasis on culinary aspects from every single different country. So we're trying all these different foods. We're going to all these different places. We're in a charter bus, traveling by bus, getting around to places. We took the Eurostar. Like that was probably like it left such an impact on me. I was like, wow, like this is the world. This is the chocolate that's in Switzerland. This is this Heidelberg Castle in Germany. This is the red double decker bus in London. This is the Eiffel Tower standing right in front of me that shimmers at 11:59 every single night. Like these places are real. And from there, I was just bit. I was captivated, and I was able to go to London again. The opportunity arose to do lessons in leadership during my scholarship with my scholarship cohort in college. So I was able to travel to London again, and that was really nice. It was a more intimate group, which I enjoyed. It was about I want to say maybe like 7 to like 14 girls
Mhm.
about my age, and then our sponsorship, not our sponsors, but our scholarship leaders who came with us as well too.
Mhm.
And that was just really nice. We were in London. We got to travel the city. We got to see a show. We were learning all these different things of leadership, storytelling, marketing yourself, conflict management, all these really great things. And so once you kind of get a taste of traveling, you're like, okay, this is the world. I don't
Mhm.
know, it just doesn't stop. And so that
Yeah.
really helped to like set a foundation for me for being able to go and live in the English countryside for 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a big deal. I'm so glad that you shared that because a lot of times, you just talked about those four walls, right? And a lot of times, we will, some people are just like, okay, what states have I traveled to inside of, I haven't even gotten to all 50 states inside of the US, but there is a whole nother world out there that's outside of it, different continents and countries and places to go. And you even mentioned like the food and stuff and all of the different places that you guys had a chance to go to in 2019. And it is different. Like it's different and it does. So I'm glad that you have seized those opportunities and such. Okay, so now Bria, I've got to ask you, tea or coffee? And has England changed your loyalty?
That is a good question. I still feel like I like both equally, but there was a point where I was having a cup of tea every single day while I was abroad. It was just nuts. Like everybody has one. It's like, I'm gonna have a cuppa. Do you want one too? Do you want cream? Do you want sugar? And so it just kind of became the norm for a little bit. But I still say I
Yeah,
like it just as much.
I know. I mean, all that time you spent working at Starbucks, I was like, "Is Brielle? Is she? Is she a tea girl now?" No. So, Brielle, when I think about Brielle and blogging or personal brand and stuff like that, you share thoughts on everything from self discovery to social commentary. How do you decide what to write about? Like I'm always curious about, because you always have like these good things that you share, but they're all different.
That is a really good question. I'm trying to think about where a thought initially starts. It could be from a myriad of things, from a conversation to something that I read in a book to a post that I see. I take something from that and I'm like, oh wait, like how have I seen this play out in my life? And it kind of like just goes from there. So it can be like anything as well too. And I recently am starting to notice that thoughts will kind of just start to download because our brains are constantly at work. Thoughts are always being constantly filtered in our
Mm-hmm.
brains. And, but sometimes it's important to take note of what the thought is. And I've been trying
Mm-hmm.
to do that a bit more. And then I just go deeper with it. I start from like what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
then writing about it helps me. And then from there, it kind of becomes a stream of consciousness where, okay, so now this is like a full post. This is like a full blog. This is like a whole monologue that I'm having with myself first.
Mm-hmm.
I'll kind of let it sit and marinate. And then I'll type, write, and publish about it.
I love that. You know what? Even our pastor was talking today, and he was talking about, you can't control the thoughts that come into your mind, but you really do have to discern which ones you're going to keep,
Mm.
right? Like which things are you going to continue to think about or ruminate on or pursue. And so I like that. I like you always have a fresh take, and again a fresh perspective that I think you know people can really benefit from, no matter what age they are. What do you want readers like to feel when they finish reading one of your posts? Because I think I always think about you as an empath, and you're very compassionate and very interested in other people and how other people may feel. So what do you want people readers to feel when they hit the blog and catch your post? Is that part of the inspiration for your writings too?
I want people the most to feel themselves. One thing that I'm very big on is people becoming a friend to themselves. I think we become friends to, like to people that we like see every single day, like peers, colleagues, coworkers. We can become friends with them, but I think oftentimes we skip and miss ourselves in that process.
Mm-hmm.
And the relationship with oneself is very important. So whenever I'm writing about something, I usually want people to ask themselves after they read it, okay, so like, how can I take this and internalize it for good and walk it out every single day? The concern is always with oneself first. What did you take from this? How can you apply it every single day? I really want to get to the soul of the matter when it comes to someone. And so when I write, that's kind of the focal point.
Mm-hmm.
How how can your soul digest this well? And yeah, like that's usually the process.
Mm-hmm. Ah, that's good. That's good. I know you at once said, my words are my superpower. And
Mm.
how would you say that writing has even helped you process your own growth?
Ooh, that's a good question. I can say
Is
that,
that
but
good?
yeah, that's a good question. It has really allowed me to go deep with myself, which is a really, really good thing. I recognize very early that I'm now starting to see more in my 20s, that I've always been very curious and introspective and wanted to know about things like the why or the what is causing this, what has started this, and seeing myself evolve and my writing evolved. The language is different. The questions that I'm able to ask and answer for myself is different. I'm able to spit out and give out more as opposed to keeping it all in. There's a tenacity to share it and really, really kind of get it out, because I think other people need to know it as well too. It's good that we can care for others and always care for others, be kind, do great things for people, but also so that back into yourself as well too. You should not be a stranger to yourself by any means, because you live and walk in this body every single day, right? But so many
Yeah.
people are foreign to themselves. We treat ourselves like we're foreign territory, but it's like, why? Like, you're not a machine. You're not like a puppet on a string for people. Like, you're you. You utilize you best. So utilize yourself best. So utilize yourself
That's
best.
real. I swear to goodness, like, and I tell people this all the time. Whenever I talk to my children, they like I feel like I am the child, and learn so much from you guys, because your points of view and your perspectives, your thought about things is just, it's different. It's not like it was, for me coming up when I was your age. I did life a lot differently, and I um am so proud of the people that you guys have become, because you're all so interesting. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna have to interview Zara, and I'm gonna have to interview Karis too, so that I can, so that people can see who are these people. Like, these, they cool, like they're really cool. So you know what, Brielle, I think about, like your social, like you share on social. What would you say is, if there was a philosophy for, what's your philosophy for showing up online and keeping it real? Everybody kind of has a different take, but for you, what would you say that your philosophy is?
Mostly doing just that in a world where it's so easy now on social media to plagiarize someone else's personality, and it now becomes incentivized. You throw money into it, so now people can do that, can show up unauthentically, and now be paid for it. It always causes me to scratch my head, because it's like, you have a platform, but you're not stewarding it in the right way. And now that money has been introduced, you can now have your way with it, which I don't think is wise, because especially I'm, I guess, middle Gen Z. I think Gen Z ends at 2004, 2005, but you have Generation Alpha that's coming up, and they're 100% technology. At least, like with our Gen Z, we were still playing outside for a good little chunk of time, but now Generation Alpha, they're like full technology. And so when I see people who have platforms, that starts to build the conversation of impact versus intention. And I usually strive to be on the more impactful, authentic side, because although these are the words that I live by, this is the platform that I'm wanting to build. It's
Mm-hmm.
passion. It's not just passive income. Like, I am passionate about this because I've done the work to get to this place, and I understand how beneficial it is for people to be a friend to themselves, for people to run home, to come home, return back to yourself. You're not foreign to yourself in any way. And so when I show up online, I usually strive to be as authentic and real as possible, because that's just the journey that I'm on. Like, that's just where I am. That's just where I am.
No, I love it. And then, Brielle, you always show, like, you always got your different styles and your clothes, your landscapes, even wherever you are, whatever your experiences have been, so it's always really cool, like, to be able to tap into, where you're at, what you're doing, if you having tea, if you on the in the countryside. I was watching your blog, and you were showing about the Blossom Bluebonnet Festival. Was it the Bluebonnet?
Yeah, it was the Bluebell Woodland Walk.
Yeah, Bluebell Woodland Walk. And I was like, wow, look at that whole field of flowers. And sometimes you just don't even, of course, it doesn't look like that here, right? When I'm looking out the window, it's not the same. But you know what? You have a, it's all different. All of these things that are part of the blog and stuff that you're sharing. So, Brielle, what you've got to tell us, your social. So what trends are you actually loving or hating on social media right now? Because you recently said that you was taking a break, right? Like you were doing a break from
Yes.
social.
Yes, I was taking to take a break because I need like the this summer specifically to just be a little bit more lived in. But um, one trend that I did enjoy before I did leave or take a break from TikTok was it would be titled like what I watched or consumed instead of doom scrolling. And so people would share like video essays, videos, research articles, think pieces, short essays, things that they like intentionally sewed into as opposed to scrolling for hours on your phone, which people don't often talk about, specifically with TikTok. Like I can look at 10 videos in 1 minute scrolling for hours. And that can kind of short fuse your brain a bit. Like it's too much all at once. But that's another conversation. But I enjoyed that trend, like what I did or what I consumed instead of doom scrolling. I like that one. Another trend that I always enjoyed that I personally partook in was showing your outfit of the day. So like what are you wearing today? What are the accessories that you have on? What do you enjoy? I often enjoy watching people make matcha lattes. That's very fun because there's like no limit that people put on it. And matcha's a spectrum. You can do it like a matcha lemonade. You can have like a bananas Foster matcha latte. Those are always fun, very light, and the people that create them always kind of implore you to create it yourself as well too. So those are some trends that I enjoy.
Okay, you know what? So you've got to tell me what is in a matcha latte. Like, what is it, and how do you make it?
Matcha latte. So it's like your standard coffee latte. You can choose your milk. You can choose. I don't know if anybody's tried matcha and coffee before. That I don't know. I don't doubt that it doesn't exist. But in my matcha latte, so you start it off. You scoop out your matcha, put it through a sieve so that there's no clumps or lumps in it. You want to take warm, not boiling water, pour it over your matcha. There's a bamboo whisk that you have. You only wanna how would I like describe like this was? You want to like kind of stir it, but like in a W motion, only moving the wrist. You don't want to like the bamboo whisk is very like delicate, so you don't want to
Yep.
like break it.
Break it.
And so then you have your assembly, which is your cup. I usually like using a see-through clear glass cup so you can see the green, which is always very fun. You assemble it, take your ice, your milk of choice, any syrup that you want to use, and then you pour the nice cream matcha on top, give it a mix, and that's it.
All right, Brielle, you'll have to make me one of those.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
can try it. So I can try it. I would love it. What's a creative tip or tool that you use for staying inspired and really consistent with your content? Because that's one of the things, being in on social that people really sometimes get hung up on is, like how do I don't have being consistent, so showing up regularly, right? And then, being inspired to come up with new content every time when you're putting stuff out there. So, what's a creative tip or tool that you would use for staying inspired and being consistent?
I would say it's okay to like let things marinate, kind of brew a little bit. I think because we have very like microwave tendencies, everybody kind of has dealt with at some point. I want to get this out. I want to get this done. It's okay to kind of like let things sit, let them brew, kind of let them marinate, so that one, when you share or present any sort of creative thing or project, you're coming from a much more grounded and sound place as opposed to having it kind of be rushed and curated. I think sometimes when things become too curated, it doesn't allow for any room to let life kind of breathe on its own. You kind of want to brew, let it marinate, let it sit with you for a bit. I think that's how whenever I like record videos of me sharing a written piece, it usually has sat in my notes app or like just in Google Docs. It sat for a little bit because I want to make sure that I understand what it is before I feed that to people who are going to want to understand what it is. You can't answer what you don't understand. And people are going to have questions for you when you share and present something because, especially if it's a new idea, they want to know, okay, what is this? Let it sit, let it brew. That's always a good thing. Let life breathe on its own. It's something
I
I
like
would say for
that.
creative slip.
I like that. No, so good. Well, we have hit our 30-minute mark. And so this means that we are going into our Reimagine You moment. And, the podcast is all when I invite people to come into the Reimagine You Lab podcast, we're talking about, testing things and trying things. It's change, it's doing something different. So, can you share a time when you had to reimagine your path, like pivot or let go or start over? Can you share something with us?
Yes, I'll say it's happening relatively recently, like right now. I was sharing with a friend because we're both currently walking in a parallel line, both like living our individual lives, but we're both in a place where life is very undefined right now. And it's learning to one, seek the beauty in that undefined, and also to trust that what the Lord has on the other side, that camp that He has set for you is set, and really holding on to the promise that He has for you. So the biggest reimagine is currently happening right now. This evolution of what this life will look like for me. Um, I would say is like my biggest reimagine thing. One thing that I've been holding on to is just hope for tomorrow. It's teaching me a lot. The undefined right now is teaching me how to really be present, how to get my mind quiet and still
Yeah.
enough, and to not worry about things that only just add unnecessary stress and anxiety on me. So, yeah, my biggest reimagine is the now, like the present, and finding beauty in the undefined at this current moment.
All right. No, that's good. Brielle, you're definitely a woman of faith. And I think it's so important, especially being a young woman of faith. The earlier, a lot of times, a lot of us would say, if I would have got started, if I would have known the Lord a little sooner, if I would have, chosen to walk, I knew Him, but chosen to walk in His path, earlier, my life may be different. So what, and I think about how that interchange and that in the play, not the play, but the interplay of, hey, my faith is a big part of who I am and what I do and how I live and how I love. What role does faith for you, that in that inner knowing, play in your creativity?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like the Lord, because He has, and I'm still understanding it myself. And I'd be lying if I said that knowing that good things, like the war, I'm stumbling. The Lord works from a place of completion. And I was writing, I want to say 2, 3 weeks ago, I was just sharing with David, he's our youth pastor at church, that it's interesting how we analyze a life that's already complete. Like our lives are finished. The Lord is just taking us through everything that He needs to get His glory and to delight in us, just as we will delight in Him. And the Lord, as I am learning, just like little bits and pieces, because the Lord's not gonna just throw everything in your lap and say, "Here, take it." Like no, it's an evolution. It's a
A
process.
process, yeah.
And the Lord, like, just I feel like He's very dutiful in how He gives me things. It can be just like a sentence or an idea will pop into my head, and I write it down instantly. I was going to mention that prior in the during this podcast, but like I write it down instantly. I'm getting into a routine where I'm like, okay, the Lord, you drop this download, go write this
Yeah.
down like really quick. 'Cause thoughts, just as fast as they come, they can escape as well too. So like hold on to them. And so faith has allowed me to like go deeper with it. I get some really good gems, not only that I apply like for myself, but I can also
Mhm.
share with friends too. And so faith has allowed me just be a bit more quicker to um, tap into the perspective of whatever the Lord is wanting to download at that specific moment or at that certain time. And it's always very random too. Like I could be sitting down at Texas Roadhouse and having a conversation with my cousin, or I can be in the car going to like go thrift or something like that. Like it's always, I notice that I'm usually always doing something else. Like just I could be anywhere, and the Lord's just like, here's this little gem, and I want you to like take it deeper, walk through it, and write about it. Write. Trust
Bring
that
it
this
back.
is from me and bring it back. And I say to anybody who knows or who has been told or prophesied into very early into your Christian faith, it's okay to feel intimidated by it. Because I feel like I, in many ways, feel intimidated by what the Lord is going to do. But it's baby steps. Like, He's not going, like, just as I mentioned before, like, He's not just going to plop it down in your
Do it
lap.
all at once.
No, like, He understands this. He understands this on our behalf.
He
And you
does.
just trust Him with Him. Trust Him with His portion. And He's going to see it through 100% because He already has. Our lives are
Yeah.
finished. Our lives are done.
Yeah. No, that's a really good take. I love how you frame that. He's true to what his portion is, and he always extends the invitation. We can accept it, and then we trust that we're gonna have a dance with him at the party, but
Amen.
there's a lot of people at the party. There's a lot of things to do. And we got to just trust him with the process that he has for us. No,
Amen.
that's so good. Brielle, what would you say to, because as we just kind of leaning into that a little further, what would you say to like another young woman trying to find her own voice in a very noisy digital world? You just talked about that doom scrolling, and then the inspiration and stuff that you get of things to share, but sometimes people are afraid of it or intimidated by, I want to be in this world. I want to speak up. I want to have a voice. What would you just say to another young woman that's trying to find her voice?
I would say you have to get to a place where you're outside of the noise. Like, you have to isolate. It's not that it'll be long. Who knows like how long the time will be. But you really have to set spaces that I'm learning now to be conducive to what is needed to be learned during your season, during this, not battle, but yeah, like just during like this time with God. You have to remove yourself. And I think that's kind of part of the wrestle as well. So it's become so comfortable, and even not idle, comfort can become an idol if we're not careful, which will then make us complacent and stagnant in the spiritual growth that we need. And so you have to make the conscious decision to take yourself out, to stop running into yourself, to stop trusting yourself. You have to be out of the driver's seat. So that's what I would say. You have to make the conscious decision to take yourself out.
Ah, that's so good. So we in this, you want to be in this noisy digital world, but the best path is to pull out.
It's
Ah,
the
so
it's
good.
the quiet
It's
one.
counterintuitive. Yeah, it's counterintuitive. All right, so Brielle, like you just never know what you're gonna get with MG sometimes. So you've got a mop, you've got a twist, and a bottle of Fabuloso. What are you cleaning up in your life right now?
Oh, that's so bad. I believe I'm cleaning up my old life. I think I was like thinking about how we understand grieving when it comes to someone passing away, or a friend, or someone like losing someone from this physical earth, but also grieving what you thought you wanted, but maybe it didn't want you back, or grieving, man, I was comfortable here. I really liked it here, but you're not growing here. There's nothing prosperous. There's nothing being stewarded here. And so I think I'm cleaning up the remains of who I thought I would be at this current time or this season of my life. This position didn't work out, or I thought I'd be living in this city or doing this certain thing, or I thought I'd be living in this career or working with these people, and I'm having to kind of go through, not necessarily go through like this disillusionment, but kind of shatter the walls of disillusionment. Okay, life didn't pan out this way, but like your life is already finished. So it's like surrendering, I'm cleaning up everything that I thought I knew, quite honestly, and just starting over with a blank canvas. I'm starting mopping up old beliefs and trying to learn how to release old thoughts and really getting out what needs to be out. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like cleaning up. I don't know if I can necessarily say cleaning up like anything per se, more of just kind of getting out what needs to come out. Like,
Yeah.
being exercised. And I think exorcism has a very scary connotation to it because we think of it as like
we think of the girl with the head and they're spinning around.
But when you look at like I can't think of like the formal definition of exercise, but it to its core just means to extract something from. And I feel like in this season, I'm being extracted, I'm being exercised. Things are being taken away so that God can kind of just come and fill in those places where he needs to be in at.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. All right. So as we close out, because I want people to know where they can get in contact with you, and they can go to your blog at 22thoughts.blog, right? And the description's down below. So you guys make sure y'all go and check her out, check out the writings. You can see her on Facebook and TikTok and IG and those places. But I think you're well, probably by the time this episode airs, you'll be back. So before we let you go, Brielle, what's just one thought you hope people remember from today's conversation?
One thing that I want viewers to take away is allow your life to like breathe on its own. Relinquish control. Surrender the title. Let things marinate. You're not late. You are arriving. You are not. That thought dropped. I phrased that wrong. But I got a thought earlier this past week, and it was saying, I was just saying to myself, you're not failing, you're arriving. And so I want to tell that to the audience. You're not failing, you are arriving. You're walking exactly into the season, the door, the place, exactly where you need to be. Maya Angelou once said that I often cling to. She talks about how you will go through many different feats, but you must never be defeated. Don't carry around a defeated heart posture for long, or that's what you'll start to think about. You'll internalize that. You'll go through many defeats, but do not allow yourself to be defeated ever.
I love that. Brielle Gines, thank you for coming into the Reimagine You Lab podcast. You are a welcome guest to come any more time that you would like to come. This has been great. I know the audience has gotten something that they can take away from the things that you have shared here today. So thank you again for coming on. I hope you enjoyed it. Was it good for you? Was it good? Was it all right? Brielle, thank you. Oh, so I am going to listening audience. I just want to thank you guys for always tuning in. Make sure that you hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you thought about the show. Anything that Brielle shared, feel free to share with us. We love to hear from you. I thank you so much for joining and being part of the show. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed already, to click the bell so that you'll get the notifications. Subscribe and then hit the bell so you'll get the notifications. Every Friday, a new episode drops, and we're talking to somebody about change, about the difference, about reimagining you and what your life can look like. Come on into the lab. I love having you here. And until next week, I will see you guys very soon. Be blessed.
Bye.